Why do you think Kubernetes became so important?
I think part of it is a reflection of the realities of cloud-based distributed system development,
Hmm.
right? I think that a lot of the important ideas that are in Kubernetes, you can see pre-existed Kubernetes. It's almost a byproduct of its environment rather than a transformational. I think it crystallized a lot of stuff that was going on in the industry. So, prior to Kubernetes, people like Netflix were talking a lot about immutable infrastructure, but they were doing it with VMs. And they were building a lot of kind of orchestration-ish tools, but they were doing it with virtual machines. And
Hmm.
tools like Puppet and Chef and Salt were thinking about orchestrating, but they weren't online. They were sort of one-time, like blasted across your infrastructure and then hope that it stays up. It didn't have that sort of self-healing kind of aspect to it. And so I think that what Kubernetes did is it really crystallized a lot of the ideas that were bubbling around about how you do cloud-based infrastructure. It added some things in terms of online self-healing that were in part related to our own experiences with not wanting to get woken up in the middle of the night and my own experience with control loops in robotics, balancing systems and things like that. While all of that is important and useful, I think the thing that really sort of made Kubernetes the thing that did it as opposed to anything else, because I think it's really important for everybody to remember, a lot of people weren't in the ecosystem at the time, but there was 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 different systems that were sort of trying to do the same things that Kubernetes did. And over time, over a couple of years, that winnowed down to a single solution.
Hmm.
It wasn't that Kubernetes was unique in the ideas that it was trying to push forward, but I think it was really unique in building extensibility in from the ground up and building a really strong, vibrant multi-vendor community and a welcoming community and a strong ecosystem. You mentioned the ecosystem earlier, building a really strong ecosystem of other people who were dependent on its success, right? If you look at machine learning today, every single machine learning system that's out there is using Kubernetes. And so that means that every single AI system that's out there has almost a requirement that Kubernetes be successful. Right? They're
Yeah.
motivated to make sure that Kubernetes is successful because that's the framework that they step up from. Right? So building that ecosystem of people who weren't necessarily interested in container orchestration, but needed a foundation to build on, I think that eventually becomes a network effect that turns these things into something that has staying power.